Water Resources Commissioner's Office Dirt Doctors. And today we're going to be teaching you about soil. Tricked you, you thought it was dirt. I'm Dr. Alyssa.
I'm Dr. Debbie.
And today we're going to use our imagination. So this watering can will represent a rain cloud.
And we've got this great model of the lakes, rivers, and streams of the great state of Michigan. We've got a nice example of some vegetation, some soil, and a construction site, of course.
So at the end of our presentation, there will be a small quiz. You'll want to pay attention to some of the key words today. I'll give you the first one. The difference between soil and dirt is that soil has nutrients. So we like nutrients because vegetation needs nutrients to grow. You can think of nutrients as plant food. What kinds of vegetation do you guys know about? The first kind we can talk about is right here, grass. But everything with roots is vegetation. So we've got, trees, bushes, flowers, plants, vegetables, you name it. If it's got roots, it's vegetation. And in our office, we love vegetation because it helps to keep the soil from eroding when it rains. So I will lift up this grass right here. You can see all that soil comes up with it because the roots are doing a few things. They're going to hold all that soil together when it rains, and they're going to absorb a lot of that rain before it starts to run off. So let's use our rain can, and we'll see how long it takes for the runoff water to enter our lakes, rivers, and streams after the roots absorb it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do we have some runoff? We do.
Perfect. So we'll give that a second to show us what the runoff water in the lakes, rivers, and streams looks like when it rains on vegetation. You'll notice that it took a few seconds before any runoff water started leaving the pan. That's because of those roots we talked about.
It is.
So they're going to absorb all that water, and then when they're totally full, they cannot absorb anymore, they're fully saturated, then we start to see the runoff water.
What do you think, Doctor?
So when soil or dirt erodes into a body of water, we call it sediment. And what we're looking for here are big pieces of sediment. And I don't see any.
I don't see any. It looks real nice.
It looks very, very good. And this is a piece of grass that was just cut out of the lawn this morning. So this is real soil and it's nice and fresh and there's no sediment in here. So next, we're going to use our rain cloud to rain on this pan that has no vegetation. Now, Dr. Debbie, can you think of a few reasons why there might not be any vegetation on soil?
Well, perhaps it is what we're going to get to a construction site. Maybe we bought a nice piece of property and we've ripped all the grass off there to build our new house. Perhaps it's a farmer's field where the crops have been harvested and nothing else has been done to the soil itself. So there's quite a few reasons that this could happen. Maybe they're doing construction on the side of the road and they're putting down some new soil and we don't have any grass growing yet.
Yeah. So let's make a hypothesis.
Gesundheit.
Oh, thank you. Do you think that the runoff water will be cleaner from the pan with vegetation or from the pan with no vegetation? I'm going to vote for this guy because that water was pretty clean, that runoff water. What do you think, Dr. Debbie?
You know, I'm really not sure. I think I might vote for this side.
All right. Got a vote for each one. So we're going to use our rain cloud. We're going to count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think we need to keep counting.
Stop.
Yeah.
Look at all the erosion in the pan. Where did all of our soil go?
It's an interesting fun fact. Did you know that it takes the earth 500 years to naturally replace 1 full inch of topsoil?
That is an interesting
You saw
fact.
how quickly that eroded.
It was gone in seconds.
We can lift this guy up.
Wow, look at the sediment. And it's polluting the lakes, rivers, and streams in Michigan.
So what's the problem? What happens when we get sediment into our waterways, Dr. Debbie?
Well, I suspect it's like you said. We have no roots. There's no vegetation. That means there's no roots to hold the soil in place. The wind, water, many things would be able to erode our soil.
Yeah. And I think when we get soil into our lakes, it can disturb fish habitats, and it can also block inlets and outlets of water, bodies of water, so that there can be flooding. So lots of damage. And you had mentioned earlier farms that can carry with it fertilizer, phosphorus can lead to algae blooms, all kinds of things. So we definitely want vegetation. But like Dr. Debbie said, we can't always have vegetation. So let's take a look at our third pan and see what the soil erosion unit in our office does to help the runoff water not look like that.
So we're going to take the example that we're going to build a new school. We've hired an environmentally conscientious contractor to come in, but of course they have to rip all the vegetation off our site. So we don't want all of this pollution. I don't think we mentioned that soil is the #1 polluter in the state of Michigan. And we obviously at our office do not want that to happen. So we're going to take some protective actions. We have things like a filter fence, which is here in our pan. This is a mini version. We also have mulch blankets. This one's made out of a coconut husk, and this is a recycled plastic. And both of these you may have seen on the side of the freeways are laid down to hold the grass seed in place and to prevent the erosion itself. So let me show you some examples. These are real life examples of the filter fence in place at a construction site. These are actually photos that our soil erosion group took pictures of.
And these are about 2 feet tall in real life.
They are
and they go about
2 feet.
6 inches into the ground.
And if they are not installed properly, you will see the erosion. The soil is actually able to get out from underneath the soil, or beneath the fence, I'm sorry.
And we'll come out, somebody from our office will actually come out and give you a ticket if this is happening on your construction site.
Okay, so we're going to proceed with our experiment here. And we're going to build a construction site. You can see we've already taken off the vegetation. We've got our mulch blanket. We've got our filter fence in place. The filter fence is designed to let the water flow through, but keep the soil on the site. And we've got some more lovely toys to use your imagination. We've got a beautiful schoolhouse. And we've got some construction equipment. Gotta have a digger, gotta have some fuel.
Is that our biodiesel?
Of course. And we're gonna continue on with our hypothesis.
Oh, Gesundheit.
Thank you very much. All right, so let's get some more rain.
Filling up our rain cloud.
And we're gonna rain on the construction site again for a count of 10. Do we need to take another vote?
What do we think is gonna be cleaner? So we know that the runoff water from the pan with the vegetation is cleaner than the runoff water from the pan with just soil. But do we think Mother Nature will do a better job than we did with our construction site? I'm gonna vote for Mother Nature. She does a pretty darn good job with this stuff. What do you think?
I do think Mother Nature does a good job, but I also know that our protective measures do a good job as well. So let's give it a shot and see what happens.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I can hear the water running off. All right, we'll give it a second to fill up that lake, river, or stream that jar represents.
You want to hold?
Yeah,
let's hold compare. These up and compare all three.
Perfect. Wow.
So we've got Mother Nature did a real nice job of protecting our soil. We've got a lot of sediment from our middle pan. And you'll notice that in the third pan, it looks almost as clean as the vegetation, the first. But there is some fine silt and sediment that was able to get through the filter fence and the mulch blanket. Very little. So not quite as good as Mother Nature, but definitely much better than the unprotected soil.
Dr. Debbie, I always like to think, if I was a fish, which one would I want to live in? Definitely not this one. This one is just, ugh. But Mother Nature and our protective measures did a really good job.
They did. So we had shown you some examples of soil erosion that had gone wrong. Here's another example. This actually is a lake that had so much soil erosion, the banks had worn down, that it actually blocked the inlet to the lake. We actually had to come in with large equipment and dig this back out. You can see all the soil that made it into the water.
Kind of like this guy, right?
And now kind of to move on to where this water is going to go. We talked about it polluting our lakes, rivers, and streams, but you might ask, how does it get there? If you don't have a river right next to your home, hold this up. So there's a couple different ways. There are catch basins. This is one you would see on the side of your street. And the beehive catch basin is another source. You'll notice on the open grates, any rainwater or runoff can get through those. This is just an open swale or ditch. All of these are a source of storm water. So what we'd like you to think about now is what you think will happen in these two instances. Over here, we've got a small amount of debris by our catch basin. So if it were to rain, my guess would be that that debris could actually end up going through the grates and end up down, and before you know it, it's floating down the river next to you in your tube. This one here, I would suspect if it rained, would completely block. No water could get down the grate, and your road would actually flood. So these are things we can do to help keep things clean. If need be, we actually have for our office of these Vector trucks. This long pipe is a large, very strong, powerful vacuum. We actually can come out and clean up those storm drains, those catch basins, and we actually can vacuum it out. The orange tube is high pressure water where we actually can jet water and help clean those out.
I heard that a Vector truck can suck up a bowling ball or a child about the size of a 6-year-old.
That is true.
Yeah.
And they also cost almost $500,000.
Ugh. So they are on a schedule in your community. So even though this is going to come and clean out those, what we talked about, these storm drains every couple of years, a lot of garbage can get into the waterways in the meantime. So it's important not to litter. We also want to pick up after our pets when we take our dog for a walk. If they go to the bathroom, we want to clean up that pet waste because that can carry a lot of bacteria into our waterways as well. So Oakland County is really unique because it has 5 watersheds here. And with the water festivals, we tend to focus on Southeast Michigan or Southeast Oakland County, where we've got the Clinton River watershed in green and the Rouge River watershed in yellow. So if you normally go to the Clinton River Water Festival or the Rouge River Water Festival, that means that your school is in that watershed. Next up, we've got that quiz we told you about in the beginning, so I hope you've been paying attention. If your teacher wants, we can ask you a question. We'll pause for a few seconds to give your class some time to answer it, and then we'll help you out and give you the answer. So today, we did not talk about dirt, but we talked about basically dirt with nutrients. What do we call that? Soil. Good answer. I'm sure you guys got that one. Next, we talked about how important things with roots are. Grass and trees and flowers and vegetables, and how those roots absorb all the water. So what do we call all this green stuff? That's right, vegetation. Good answer. Next, we talked about the roots, and I just used this word, how they soak up all that water. What's a better word for that? Absorb. Good job, guys. And when they're totally full and the roots cannot absorb any more, then that means they are saturated or saturation. When they're totally full and they cannot absorb anymore, but it keeps raining and it keeps raining and that water goes and it ends up in our lakes, rivers, and streams, we call that water runoff. And this fence down here, part of our construction site, its job is to do what? To filter the runoff water. It's going to let the water go through, but it's going to filter out the big pieces of soil, and it's going to go around the entire construction. We call it a filter fence. And in this pan, where we had no vegetation and we had no controls, but it rained, what did we see happen to this soil? It was really bad. We saw it right here in the middle of the pan. We call that erosion. So that is soil erosion. That was the main point of our presentation today, how bad soil erosion is for our lakes, rivers, and streams. And the last one, you're gonna have to get this one all on your own. It's a big one. When it rains and the runoff water ends up in the lakes, rivers, and streams, we don't call it soil anymore. We call it sediment. All right, well, thanks for joining us today, coming out to learn about soil erosion and water resources. We want to thank the Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner, Jim Nash, for letting us be here with you today. And don't forget, no matter where you live, you always live in a watershed. We only want rain in the drain. So if you see somebody polluting our lakes, rivers, and streams here in Oakland County or polluting into a storm drain, then you can go to our website, find our pollution hotline, and give us a call so we can come out and clean it up. Bye. Thanks, everybody.